Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity.
Now, this month will see almost, I suppose, a consolidation of 26 African countries that will form a free trade area. So why don't you start us off at the very bottom here and explain what is a free trade area?
My understanding of what they're trying to achieve here is a deeper economic integration, Jerusha, of a number of economies. Just making trade at a high level a lot simpler, a lot less bureaucratic tape around it, and therefore making it a more predictable and attractive place to do business. So really the whole principle of this is around an integration of a big chunk of the AU. As you pointed out, 26 countries, it's about half the AU, and a massive emerging population which is involved, somewhere between 5 and 600 million folks. So a very attractive area to do business, or should be.
Absolutely. Now, this is sure to have a benefit for South Africa when it comes to trading with other countries on the continent. Speak to us about that.
Yeah, you know, if one looks at what I understand that they're trying to do, it is really about integrating investment programs along corridors, you know, within the continent, making the movement of business folk in the area a lot simpler, then tackling the, I guess, prickly issues of you know, of quotas in terms of import and export. Duties, hopefully zero within this trade area, and then, as I said earlier, just reducing the bureaucratic tape. If we look at intra-Africa trade or regional trade, it's about 12% of the flows, the trade flows into and out of the region. If you look at the more mature economies, Europe, for example, about 60% of their trade is regional. If you look at Asia, roughly the same number. And if you look at North America, you know, it's about 40%. So a massive opportunity for South Africa business. You know, if we look at the flows out of South Africa, and I talk specifically container flows because that's the business that we're in, you know, it's a relatively small market, but it is growing significantly. So, you know, as I said, it's probably about 12% of our export flows out of South Africa specifically. So it mirrors the Africa flow, but you know, we can really step that up. It is a land of opportunity, biggest you know, growing middle class population in the world, and super opportunity for business in retail, automotive. Two good examples where, you know, opportunity is being explored, but I think there is a lot further, or a lot more, should I say, which can be done.
Now, of course, your business focus is the movement of containers across the world, but how do you see these new 26 countries, the open trade between them, affecting your business?
Look, we have a sizable presence as the Maersk Group in Africa. We have two brands, Safmarine and Maersk Line. We already do a substantial amount of business. It's a massive part of our global portfolio anyway, but we certainly believe it can be a bigger part of the portfolio. You know, it's really the inland locations that this will really support. So where cargo, for example, has got to go across a number of currently different customs regimes, you know, it makes it more complex, it makes it more time consuming, more can go wrong. Whereas if this free trade area really works, it will make trade into the inland countries where cargo, for example, has got to cross a number of countries a hell of a lot easier. So, you know, from our business point of view, that's good news, because it's an easier place to do business, which means there's more trading, which means there's more cargo, more containers for us. So a good news story all around, assuming governments do in fact have the appetite to implement it and then to police it as intended.
Now, that's the other thing. It needs to be adopted really by all these different countries, and it needs to work in order for it to work.
Yes. Yep, absolutely. And as I said, I guess you need the governments to comment on that. But from our perspective, there's one thing having a set of rules, and a second thing policing them and making sure they work as designed, and that is an important part of any implementation.
Assuming, though, that it is implemented well and ends up working well, in your professional opinion, is this then an exciting time to be doing business on the African continent?
Absolutely. Africa is, it's exciting anyway, whether this is successful or not. It is one of the last, I guess, unexplored or partially explored from a business perspective continents in the world. It has the fastest growing middle class, a massive consumer base, which is growing rapidly, and yes, an exciting place to do business. As I said, we're in almost all of the African countries, and we certainly see the potential, and therefore welcome an initiative like this, which really makes it easier to trade in Africa. And we mustn't forget we're competing against many other parts of the world for investment, and having an efficient supply chain is certainly one of the factors that companies will look at before they invest in manufacturing facilities, for example. You've got to be able to get your goods in and out, if that is the case, making it a lot easier with this initiative, then it really is positive for everybody.
Well, we'll certainly be keeping an eye on it. Thank you so much for shedding some insight.
Pleasure. Yeah. Thank you so much.